All right, good evening, everybody. We're going to call the village board meeting to order for April 12th, 2022. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lana, roll call, please.
Mayor DeBold.
Here.
Trustees Brockman.
Here.
Carroll.
Here.
Chapman.
Here.
Kirkland.
Here.
And Luciano.
Trustee Luciano had advised us that he was not going to be able to be in attendance this evening, so. All right, are there any citizens wishing to address the village board? Seeing
Take your
none, we will
chance.
move on to this evening's consent agenda. Item number 1, approval of the regular meeting minutes for March 22nd, 2022. Approval of the committee of the whole meeting minutes, March 22nd, 2022. Approval of accounts payable in the amount of $833,154.33. Approval of the payment in the amount of $34,990.05 to Springbrook for the annual software subscription. Approval of payment in the amount of $991,476.89 to Pacific Construction for the new public works facility. Approval of pay request number 3 in the amount of $130,721.40 to Lane Christensen Company for well number 8 rehabilitation. Approval of payment in the amount of $110,000 to the Village of Minooka for the Water Commission formation administrative cost. Approval of payment in the amount of $15,191.08 to Tesca and Associates for work completed on the comprehensive plan. Are there any items a trustee has a question or wishes to remove?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion Kirkland, second Chapman. Roll call, please.
Carroll.
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Kirkland.
Yes.
And Brockman.
Yes.
Okay, bills are paid. We'll move into our reports of communications. I do have the Arbor Day proclamation. Lana, was there anything else that you had received?
No, sir.
Thank you. Proclamation for Arbor Day, April 27, 2022. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. Whereas trees are a renewable source giving us paper, wood for homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas in our village, increased property values enhance the economic vitality of business areas and beautify our community. And whereas wherever they are planted are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now therefore, I, Clarence C. DeBold, Mayor of the Village of Shorewood, do hereby proclaim Friday, April 27, 2022 as Arbor Day in the Village of Shorewood, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And I further urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this future generations. Dated the 24th day of April 2022. All right. We move into this evening's order of business. First item up, consideration for approval of the appointment of Scott Selfridge as village trustee. Scott Selfridge has been a resident for the village in the last 5 years. He resident over here in Town Center. He's married with his wife Julie and his 2 boys Jake and John, which are here this evening as well. Scott is active within the community. He's the current president of the HOA in Town Center. He's also an active member of our Citizens Advisory Board.
So Mayor, you would make the appointment and then ask the village board to confirm that appointment?
Do a roll call, sir?
Yes, after you make the appointment. So you can just appoint Mr. Selfridge as a village trustee and then ask for the board to confirm that appointment.
So I'm asking to appoint Scott Selfridge to fill the vacant trustee spot for the Village of Shorewood, and then I will ask for confirmation from the board. Would a roll call be the most appropriate?
Yes.
Lana, roll call, please.
Chapman,
Yes.
Kirkland,
Yes.
Brockman,
Yes.
and Carroll.
Yes.
So the appointment has been made. Mr. Selfridge, if you'll come up here, Lana will come up and read you the oath.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Scott Selfridge,
I, Scott Selfridge,
having been appointed to the position of trustee
having been appointed to the position of trustee
for the Village of Shorewood,
for the Village of Shorewood,
County of Will,
County of Will,
and State of Illinois aforesaid,
and State of Illinois, aforesaid,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the ordinances of the Village of Shorewood,
and the ordinances of the Village of Shorewood,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of trustee to the best of my ability.
of the office of trustee to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Mr. Selfridge did take the initiative and at least go through the packet online when we spoke to him, so he was trying to be as informed as he could coming into this evening. So
I did. No, thank you for the appointment, Mayor. I truly appreciate it. Thank you, Board, for confirming the appointment. I'm looking forward to serving the Village of Shorewood in this new capacity. Thank you.
Our pleasure. We look forward to it. All right. We're going to move on to the, continuing on tonight's order of business, moving on to item number 2. Consideration for approval of an ordinance amending Title III of the Shorewood Village Code regarding mobile food vending. This item is up for first read. Economic Development. Ms. Engel.
Thank you. Okay, so over the last couple of years, we've received a number of inquiries for people who are interested in bringing food trucks to various parties and special events. As we go to answer the questions, we realize that they're really not accommodated in the village code because they're more of a new type thing. So we've proposed an ordinance here to address the various types of food trucks that we're seeing. Let's see. Okay, we'll soon have a presentation on the screen, but basically the way we look at it is there are two, we're calling them mobile food vending units, to kind of cover the whole gamut of food trucks and ice cream trucks and everything. And as we see it, there are two different types. The first one is your traditional food truck that will go to a special event. They typically arrive, they stay there for a while. It's a planned thing. We're calling that a type A mobile food vendor. And then the second one is somebody who drives through the town making various stops, such as an ice cream truck or a job site canteen truck, which we've kind of classified as a type B. So we've proposed two different types, type A, sort of your food truck license, and type B, your roaming license. And we've proposed to do two different things. One, to have an option of having an annual license or a daily license for each type. An annual license we propose to be $75, and a daily license would be $10. So that way, we cover people who want to appear, for once a week, for example, as well as people who just want to come for one event one day. Is this? We've got a couple standards. We think that if a mobile food vending unit is going to locate on a private property, we think it's appropriate for the private property owner to give their permission. They can't just show up on, in Jules parking lot or something like that. Same thing with a public property. If they want to stop within 300 feet of a school or a park, We think it's appropriate for them to get the jurisdiction's permission. So in the case of a village park, they can't just go and park outside all day long. They need to get the village's permission. Same thing with the school. For the type A licenses, which are the ones that'll stay there for a while, they would need our permission to park on the street. We'd review each location to make sure that it was safe and that there weren't going to be any traffic problems. For the type B license, which are the roaming licenses, they do have the ability to stop by the side of the road as long as it's safe, for no more than 30 minutes. So for example, an ice cream truck can stop, sell popsicles and ice cream to a couple of kids, and then move on to a location. They can't stop by the side of any road for an unlimited amount of time. We have some standards written into the proposed ordinance just to make sure that it's safe. So for example, we've asked them not to obstruct the public right-of-way, not to impair pedestrian or vehicle movement, make sure they don't pose a safety hazards. They have to obey parking regulations, can't block a fire hydrant, things like that. We have proposed that they don't operate any earlier than 6 o'clock in the morning or 10 p.m. We think that kind of goes along with, the times that businesses would be open, and we don't think after 10 p.m. is necessarily desirable. For the licenses where the trucks can move around as much as they want, like the ice cream trucks or the job site canteens, they can operate any number of days, but for the more traditional food trucks, what we call the type A license, they can't be in any location for more than 10 days in a row, and we've proposed 52-day total throughout the year. So basically, if, a food truck wanted to show up every Monday for the entire year, that would be okay, but they can't just park in a parking lot and operate 365 days of the year. We don't think that's appropriate. We do have some standards in terms of where they can be located, so basically they can't be left unattended on the right-of-way. We are conscious of the fact that there's generally food stored in these vehicles when they're not operational, and they need to be plugged in, so we don't want to have to worry about extension cords crossing the right-of-way and people tripping and things like that. They can't be left on a residential driveway, which would be in accordance with our home occupation regulations. They can't have signs that aren't attached to the vehicles. Typically, they'll have menus and, their name on the vehicle, but they can't go putting signs up on every corner. They can have tables, chairs, or other equipment. They can't take power directly from the utilities or across the right-of-way, so they can't be dragging extension cords where there would be a trip hazard. They can't have drive-throughs. There would be certain sanitation standards, like you need to have waste bins and things like that, and certain insurance requirements. We have proposed that, although we do have these restrictions, if there's a special event or a special reason, the village would have the ability to waive that requirement. So for example, if they came out to a festival the village was hosting, and we were going to have them there 3 days, and it made sense for them to be plugged in and stay overnight, we'd have the ability to waive the requirement and to do that. The food trucks or the mobile food vendors would be required to have a health department approval. They would be required to get a simple criminal background check to make sure that the operators, the owners, or the drivers clear that. The Illinois retailer taxes would apply, so people would be paying sales tax for their food truck purchases, which typically they do. We ask that the operators not, use loudspeakers and do things to disturb the peace, and that they not drink alcohol. For the most part, we don't think it's appropriate to allow them to sell alcohol, but in the event that they've got a special event, say they're showing up for a wedding or a party, if they have a village liquor license and the state liquor license, we could make an exception for that. But your ice cream truck wouldn't be able to sell you a margarita, for example. These are things we've put forth. We knew we needed some type of standard in the code because we really didn't have a way to answer people when they asked us these questions. So we're bringing it forward for a first read. We'd love any input you have and any suggestions.
I got a question. Why the 10 p.m.? Okay,
Well-
I go to bed at 9.
Oh, sure.
Ding-a-ling, 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 with the ice cream truck coming around.
Right. And that's a good point. So we were thinking 10
Close the
p.m.
window.
because of the food trucks that go to breweries and things like that. But I can see how, you certainly don't want an ice cream truck going through your neighborhood at 9 p.m. when you're putting your kids to sleep.
Really?
Yeah,
How's everybody else think 9 o'clock for?
It's a fair statement. Is there a way of, perhaps, maybe we modify this slightly to where type A, switch the two time slots between type A and type B, whereas type B is obviously more of the roving unit?
Certainly.
Or we go on to say, in the residential areas, no sales after a certain amount of time unless there's an approved event, right? We could do that. I mean, that way they could stay at the brewery until 10, but then they wouldn't be running by trustee
Sure.
Chapman's house with the ice cream truck.
But this is why this is just for a first read. We know not everybody's had the opportunity to go through it. We were trying to give them the presentation. So we'll make certain that, and of course, upon any further other recommendations or comments, we'll definitely tweak the time aspect to make certain it's a little more understood for everybody, of course.
Like when Saviano's, I guess that's how you pronounce, they set up at the, the Thursday night deals. What do they have to have?
So are they operating out of a truck?
No.
Party in the
just-
park.
A party in the park?
Yeah.
They got a
doesn't
table
apply to
and a
this.
heating unit, and that's it.
Yeah, so they'd be part of a special event, so they'd have special permission.
They'd have to do what?
They fall
they
under
would-
the special use, like a special event permit.
Right. This is really meant, I think whenever there's a very large event like the parties in the park or the festivals or things like that, they'll all be under a special event permit, so we'll look at those specifically for those uses. This is more to deal with, somebody's having a big birthday party, they're gonna have a taco truck come out. So we have, the ability to give them regulations, or for the breweries who wanna have a food truck come out.
And with the increasing popularity of food trucks, the village has fielded quite a few phone calls about what's our regulations. So we wanted to at least get something in place.
Right.
Are you getting calls from the food truck companies or residents asking what they need to do to host a food truck?
More often than not, I'm getting calls from the food truck companies, but we do get from residents who want to host parties as well, and from the breweries. It's surprising how many people will call us just at the beginning, like right now, this time, we're hearing from quite a few people who own food trucks who are interested in knowing what Shorewood's regulations are.
Question on the insurance, does that apply to type A as well as B?
It does.
Ice cream guy gonna come up with that kind of
have to.
insurance?
Right, and I'm glad you mentioned insurance. I should have gone over, there was a odd sentence we had in the insurance section. So on your the dais, there's a correction. We've just reworded that so it sounds right. It was a little bit goofy the way it was in there.
Okay.
So we'll leave it as a first read, take the opportunity to review it a little bit more. If you have any other questions, feel free to contact Natalie. In the meantime, we'll get a timing aspect adjusted in there so it's a little more definitive for everybody.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, moving into item number 3. Consideration for approval of a proposal for professional engineering services with Christopher Burke Engineering for Phase 2 design for River Road decorative LED streetlight project in the amount not to exceed $28,950. Public Works Director Noriel.
Thank you, Mayor. So we have a number of decorative street lights throughout the village on many of our major roadways, 59, 52, River Road, Black. So this is just carrying on the street lighting along River Road. So River Road right now currently has decorative street lighting from our northern border, our corporate limits of Joliet, all the way south to just beyond Route 52, Jefferson. We're going to be carrying on this same circuit, the same decorative street lighting south on River Road between Huntington to approximately Ranch View. This is going to be approximately adding about 10 decorative street lighting poles. So we're also fortunate to be able to obtain DCEO grant funding for this in the amount of approximately $200,000. And we currently have $200,000 in our fiscal year budget for this type of project. We estimate the project to be approximately $300,000. The design is approximately 2 to 3 months, with the intention that we will hopefully construct late summer, if not early fall. Staff is recommending approval for the professional services agreement with Seabell for Phase 2 design for our 2022 River Road decorative street lighting project in the amount not to exceed $28,950. Any questions?
This is a $300,000 estimated project. We had $200,000 budgeted. We also received $200,000 in grant funding. So we are, at this point, ahead of the game. Any additional questions for Noriel?
Is there a gap left where we could pick up another pole or two on that money till we get to,
We are going to try to maximize the 300,000. Our estimates are showing right now there are a lot of supply chain concerns and demand is high, so cost is a little bit on the higher side. If costs fluctuate a little bit and we're able to squeeze in another pole or two, we're gonna continue south. The overall goal is to eventually get it to Sile Road.
okay.
And we'd have a matching, we would be from Black Road to Sile on River Road, lit up with LED streetlights with the matching streetlights that we've been working on doing. So,
Okay, I move to approve a proposal for professional engineering services with Christopher B. Burke Engineering for Phase 2 design services for River Road decorative LED street lighting project in the amount not to exceed $28,950.
I'll second.
Motion Kirkland, second Carroll. Roll call, please.
Kirkland,
Yes.
Selfridge,
Yes.
Brockman,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
and Chapman.
Yes.
All right, item number 3 has been approved. Moving on to item number 4. Consideration for approval of a resolution authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement and funding resolution between the Village of Shorewood and the State of Illinois Department of Transportation. This will be the reconstructing of Interstate 55 interchange with Illinois 59 into the full diverging diamond interchange. Public Works Director Noriel.
Thank you again, Mayor. So this is for IDOT's upcoming I-55, Route 59, Sile Road Diverging Interchange Project. This is their standard IGA resolution for projects that require our participation with. Some of the items that we'll be responsible for is the emergency vehicle preemption equipment in the traffic signal, lighted street name signs, decorative street lights, and some infrastructure that may need to be relocated. We actually budgeted $300,000 for this project, but with some of our engineering design adjustments that CBEL has looked at for us, a lot of the infrastructure that was identified to be relocated are now okay, and the design is accommodating our existing infrastructure. So the estimated cost of our participation is $73,602. Staff is recommending approval of the IGA and the funding resolution with IDOT for the I-55 Route 59 Sile Road Diverging Interchange Project. Any questions?
The reason for that, because we sold them that little piece of property, did that help out a lot?
That, along with, we were able to adjust some of the slopes coming off of 59 onto Sile Road over our force main. Because we were adjusting some of those slopes, it didn't require us to provide additional pipe protection and or relocate it. So we were able to keep it right where it's at,
And save money.
save money.
That's a big savings.
It is a lot.
That's a biggie.
I move to approve a resolution authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement and funding resolution between the Village of Shorewood and the State of Illinois Department of Transportation, reconstructing the Interstate 55 interchange with Illinois 59 into a full diverging diamond interchange.
Second.
Motion Kirkland, second Carroll. Roll call, please.
Selfridge,
Yes.
Brockman,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
and Kirkland.
Yes.
All right, item number 4 is approved. Moving on to item number 5, consideration for approval of a proposal from Sports Fields Incorporated for the baseball, softball field, infield rehabilitation project at Scenes Four Seasons Park in the amount not to exceed $45,000 and waive the bid process. Noriel.
Thank you very much again. Well, we know that the fields were constructed in 2004, so that puts it into, almost a little over 15, 16 years of age. We know that Minooka Softball Baseball Association has been performing routine maintenance of these fields simply by annually adding infield dry mix every year, dragging of the fields, etc. But more is needed to keep up with the maintenance of these fields in a better condition for our organizations. So the proposal that we have from Sportsfield includes replacing of the infield mix and adding soil conditioner. We're going to be improving the infield drainage, and we're also going to be removing a lot of the lip concerns in the transition from the infield to the outfield. We'll work with both organizations to schedule and reduce any scheduling conflicts with them. So attached for your review is a quote from Sportsfield to redo our infields at Seni's Four Seasons. Staff is recommending approval of the quote from Sportsfield in the amount not to exceed $45,000 for the rehab work at Seni's Four Seasons and waive the bid process. Any questions?
This is the baseball fields. We had $50,000 put in the budget. If I recall, the sports fields price came in at $43,335. The fields have some significant lips just due to wear and tear and age. This has been something we've been talking about for a year or so, trying to get remedied. So we got it in the budget this year. And once the fields have been remedied, we will have our Parks and Rec Department work a little more closely with Minooka baseball, softball to make certain we can try to minimize this impact for the village and everybody moving forward.
I was out there this morning with Chad, and we walked over the 3 fields, and when you mentioned that lip, that is a real problem. That number 1 field is just sopping wet, and so water's not able to get off the field, and so there's some serious work, and like you say, almost 20 years.
Yeah.
So we're spending $40,000, so, $2,000 a year is what I look at it as, but then we need to keep on top of it because I think they stated they were gonna take care of the fields, so once we get them back in shape, Chad said that he would be on top of it.
And
so.
we've spoke with them and they're aware of getting on top of that to have better communication and better eyes on that.
But thanks for setting that up, Noriel and Aaron, because met with him this morning, 8 o'clock. It was very informative.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve a proposal from Sportsfield, Inc. for the baseball, softball infield rehab project at Seni's Four Seasons Park in the amount not to exceed $45,000 and waive the bid process.
Second.
Motion Kirkland, second Selfridge. Roll call, please.
Brockman,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Kirkland,
Yes.
and Selfridge.
Yes.
All right, item number 5 has been approved. Noriel will work with the organizations that are out there on the fields, as he mentioned, to minimize any impact to their,
Was another thing, I wanted to see the before and after.
oh, okay.
So maybe if you can get out
We'll
there.
make sure we take some pictures before they do anything and we'll get something
Anybody else
after.
wants to get out there and look at that, you can see
What's the time frame to do that project? Do we know?
I don't remember what they said.
It's gonna be between seasons, between their, like, spring and fall season. It's too late to do it now. The materials aren't available. They've gotta do it when they can do it and not interrupt the game. So we're looking July or August, right?
I think you're asking
That is
how
one of
long
our options,
for them
yes.
to do it, correct? He's
Well, both.
asking time to do the work.
Oh,
And I don't know if they mentioned that to you or not.
Per field, approximately 1 to 2 days.
Okay,
Okay.
that's pretty quick.
Yeah.
That seems real quick.
Not gonna be much of an interruption. Huh?
No.
So,
Well,
Yeah.
but we'll make sure we get some pictures to help document the conditions prior and after, so everybody's aware as well. Moving on to item number 6, consideration for approval of a proposal from Current Technologies Corporation for network equipment at the new Public Works facility in the amount not to exceed $15,000. Public Works Director, Noriel Noriega.
Thank you again. So this is for our network equipment at the new Public Works facility. CTC, Current Technology, currently provides a lot of our IT infrastructure needs support today. Mr. McCluskey, who is also our new IT specialist, has reviewed this proposal and recommended his approval for such. I'll honestly tell you, I just want to be able to turn on the computer and it works. So they've reviewed it, they vetted this, they looked at it, they're recommending that this is the equipment we need. So staff is recommending the approval of a proposal from CTC for network equipment purchase at the new Public Works facility in the amount not to exceed $15,000. Any questions?
Noriel, is this something that's also coming out of the bonded money
Yes.
Yes. So this is not an additional expense, this is all within the
Yes.
threshold of the bonds.
And is Wi-Fi needed to like update trucks and look up computer type stuff, or your office will be there as well, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Move to approve a proposal from Current Technologies Corporation for network equipment at the new Public Works facility in the amount not to exceed $15,000.
Second.
Motion Kirkland, second Carroll. Roll call, please.
Carroll,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Kirkland,
Yes.
Selfridge,
Yes.
and Brockman.
Yes.
All right, the item is approved. Item number 7 is going to be withdrawn from our agenda. There's a few things that are not ready for that, so please disregard that. We will move on to item number 8, would be a consideration for approval of a master planning services for the 32-acre River Crossing Park by White and Company in the amount of $19,300. Administrator Kleeman.
This is what we talked about at committee of the whole last time. The agreement's attached to the memo. It simply stated they're going to, after we've, simultaneously, while we're in removing all the debris and all the stuff from the site, sheet grading it, putting black dirt and seeding on it, they'll be working on a plan for how we will develop the park in isolation to the other comprehensive plan. It's kind of like a mini targeted comprehensive plan just for this. And then with that, they're going to also prepare an OSLAD grant. That'll be due in July. Again, that'll be, if we are awarded any amount, it'll be a 50-50 match, but we have to have a plan submitted such as this, much like we did with Seeney's Park 20 years ago. So same kind of thing. We've not gone after a huge OSLAD grant like this since then. We've had other attempts, and OSLAD grants don't also come out around every year. We do know they're available this year.
And we are also, with the park design on this parcel, we will be trying to work with the Corps of Engineers since we are on the water.
Yes, there's an extensive amount of coordination that'll have to be done anything we do in the river. So that's one reason we chose White, because they have some experience with that.
And part of this includes input from the residents in the
Yes,
area.
there will be input from the residents and trustees and parks people and everyone, yes.
I move to approve, oh my God. I move to approve a master planning services for the 32-acre River Crossing Park by White and Company in the amount of $19,300. Started out good at the end, I'm getting
Second.
Motion Kirkland, second Selfridge. Roll call, please.
Chapman,
Yes.
Kirkland,
Yes.
Selfridge,
Yes.
Brockman,
Yes.
and Carroll.
That is taken care of. Moving on to our department reports. Building Department.
I would just like to say, construction activity continues to increase as the weather warms. Town center, if you drive through there, there's quite a bit, and we are seeing specifically single-family homes really start to take off in areas that we haven't seen in a while, in River Crossing specifically with Meadowbrook and Silverthorne. So there is an increased mess. If anybody sees something, let us know, and we can talk to the superintendents out there and get that cleaned up. And that'll be it.
Thank you. Community Development.
Okay, I'd like to introduce Edgar Lara. Edgar is our new village planner. He comes to us with a few years of experience in the planning field, most recently working for GoProf in the village of Maywood. Bringing Edgar on board is going to be a huge help, and it'll allow us to really dive more into the economic development activities as well. We're continuing to work on the comprehensive plan with our consulting group. They've wrapped up all the data collection and existing conditions analysis, and they'll be presenting those next Wednesday at 7 p.m. at the Joint Planning and Zoning Commission Village Board meeting. We were extremely grateful to all the residents who came out to the community open house. We heard a lot of great feedback and ideas from the residents that will all be carefully considered as we go about the comprehensive planning efforts. And then finally, we've got a few new businesses coming to town. America's Best Contacts and Eyeglasses will be going into Shorewood Crossings near the Target. Critical Grind Board Game Cafe will be opening up at 852 Sharp Drive, which is essentially the center just south of Mariano's. They're a typical cafe with coffees and snacks, and they'll also have well over 100 board games for people to play while they're enjoying their coffee. And A Better Bite is a computer consulting firm that's branching into digital photography that'll be opening up at 700 West Jefferson.
Thank you. Finance?
Thank you. We had our preliminary meeting with the auditors last week, going over their schedule and needs for our upcoming audit covering the fiscal year that ended on March 31st. As part of this process, you will be receiving some communication from the auditors, a questionnaire, an opportunity for you to get in touch. It is a requirement as part of this process that the elected officials are made involved and answer certain questions, so you will be seeing that come in the mail in the next several weeks. Contact information for the auditors is included therein, so if you have any questions about that in specific or about anything else occurring during the course of the fiscal year or the process of the audit, you are certainly welcome to contact them or myself at any time. Thank you.
It seems like we just sent that in.
It's amazing how fast it seems like we're always auditing something, correct? But as we've seen, they do a good job, and we keep getting awarded for excellent bookkeeping.
Yes, that's right.
So, thank you. Parks?
Good evening. We'd like to thank everyone who came out to our Breakfast with the Bunny event, as well as our Easter egg hunts, especially those who braved the weather Friday night for our flashlight egg hunt. Just a reminder that our spring garage sales are next weekend, April 22nd and 23rd. The last day to register is this Friday, the 15th, and the list of participating homes will be available on Tuesday, April 19th on our village website. April 23rd, we will be celebrating Arbor Day and Earth Day here. We'll be meeting at Village Hall between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. First, we'll be planting a tree for Arbor Day, and then we'll spread out through the parks to help clean those up. If you have any questions, please give us a call at 815-741-7710. And then following that, on Tuesday the 26th, will be the village-wide cleanup day. Waste Management will be picking up a unlimited number of bulk items, such as furniture, at your curb. On your regular day, just put out your garbage. And then we do still have 9 spots open for summer camp, and we are still hiring candidates for camp counselors. You can send your resume, application, and cover letter to parks@vil.shorewood.il.us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Katie,
Oh,
don't go. So if somebody wants to come for the cleanup to volunteer, all they got to do is show up, right?
Exactly.
And
We'll have
put 'em to
gloves,
work.
we'll have bags, we'll have water, and I believe some granola bars for you. So you'll help bury the tree out here. I believe we're putting it out by the pond. And then we'll disperse to, I think we're going to do here and possibly Shorewood Park to pick up some garbage and maybe some stray branches and such.
and that'll also all be on the website.
Yes, it is all on the website.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Police Department, Chief Arnold.
Good evening, I have no report tonight.
Thank you. Public Works Director, Noriel.
Thank you. So with the warmer weather, asphalt plants are open. Staff is out there filling potholes, doing a lot of patch repairs. Public Works also is preparing to do a lot of the landscape repairs from some of our snow removal operations where we had damaged some parkways, along with a lot of the areas where we had some water main breaks. So we have a list. We will be out there as soon as we can, but we're just starting to prep work now. The weather has been a little bit on the rainy side, so it's a little difficult to get all the topsoil that we need. We're continuing to pick up a lot of the garbage along the major routes, Route 52, Southwest Frontage Road, Northwest Frontage Road, including even Route 59. We did have a number of culvert repairs that we have performed along Northwest Frontage Road, also at Raven and Robin Hill intersection, and I also did some culvert repairs or cleaning and jetting along Sile Road. We have also repaired a major leak at our force main along Mound Road. So this is the force main that services River Road lift station and takes the sanitary flow over to Joliet. along Mound Road. So we made that repair last week successfully, that we were able to do it with minimal amount of disruption to any kind of, to any of the residents. The pickleball nets, wanted to report that the pickleball windscreens and nets are back up, but as of today, in preparation of the storm event that may come a little bit later this week, we took down some of it. They're still up, but we removed the top portion of the windscreens, so to prevent any damage to the fence and the windscreen with the wind gusts that are predicted to be above 40, almost 50 miles per hour. The MFT resurfacing is started. So they're starting with a lot of the curb and sidewalk repairs. They're working from the northern section of the village, and they're working their way south currently. We will get all of those locations repoured and ready all before the garage sale weekend. Well 8, the pump and motor, the column pipe, everything has been reinstalled. The electrician will be reconnecting all the wires tomorrow, and we should be starting to check the pumps and then resampling the water to put it back into service, hopefully by the end of this week. I know I did report that IDOT was supposed to be, the contractor Hurley, he is supposed to be on Black Road. As of today, they still haven't mobilized. I did see some construction signage starting to be erected, but to date, no construction, no equipment yet on site. So they're going to be out there pretty soon. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Village Administrator Klima.
So a couple of things. First of all, the legislative session just ended. The budget was passed. You've probably seen in the news a lot of stuff about that, but specific to Shorewood, all of our old appropriations were reappropriated. What does that mean? There were grants that have been released that staff has been working on getting all of the paperwork in and the money delivered to us. All of that is going well. There are some that have not yet been released. There are some long-standing grants that we have never had released. We haven't seen them yet. We'll still continue to work with that. In addition, we have a little over $1 million that's been appropriated to us in large part for projects on Onondaga, with the stuff that we already budgeted for, but we'll be able to get some grant money from that from the state. So that was encouraging that the legislators nominated us for those, and they've been awarded in the capital bill. So the final details are still forthcoming. All right. Secondly, the Water Commission, we're still hosting those meetings here, the mayors and managers meetings at least. Noriel goes to TAG meetings. There's some still meetings for Ann with the finance group. Some of you had inquired about the payment to Manuka. It was just that is where the money is being held for the coalition. Okay, so in case anyone else was confused about that, we're not giving the village of Manuka $100,000. That's for the coalition. And they're the municipality that volunteered to hold the financing for the coalition. Likewise, just so everybody knows, the mayors and managers got together on the governance. It was agreed on the terms and how the board would be structured, the leadership would be structured. So the first 2 years, Mayor DeBold was elected among the mayors to be the first chairman, president of the board. He'll serve a 2-year term, and then Shorewood goes to the bottom, and then we'll rotate back up. Once he's done, it's Shanahan, and then I forget who's third.
Third would be Manuka, if I recall.
Okay, so
no, I'm sorry. Third is Romeoville. Fourth is Crest Hill to Romeoville to Joliet.
Okay, so that'll be the progression every 2 years, and it'll just keep repeating regardless of who the mayor is. It goes by municipality. So obviously he'll be very busy working with Allison and the engineers and the financiers. He's already been inundated with papers to sign and things like that, but we'll have the best information and the most timely information. Lastly, just to update you, we did put in the budget to send staff periodically to the lead training, which we've done for well over a decade. It goes back to when Kirk Carroll was here. We're resurrecting those types of trainings. So at the end of the month, we will send 2 staff members. Mark Dudash and Jacques Plissé are going, and then scheduled in November, our Chief Arnold and Noriel to go. And then depending on how the financing goes and seating availability goes, sometimes they have a discount at the last minute. If we have people to send and they have seats, we can send some people at a reduced rate. We benefited from that this April, getting people to take some seats at the last minute. So we'll get at least 4 staff members in and maybe some more this year. But I just want to let you know that that's been reinstituted. And then lastly, in case anyone missed it, we did have State of the Village. Mayor gave us State of the Village today at the Del Webb Clubhouse, and want to thank all the staff for showing up and Katie for helping with the PowerPoint, and then Katie helped form the PowerPoint, click through the PowerPoint. We had staff there to record it. If the recordings come out good, we intend to post it online for everybody. That's it.
Thank you.
You get any updates at all about, the last I heard about the water, they were doing soil borings? Anything further?
Could be a little bit more on the tag side of where that came from.
I'm just wondering if you had any updates at all, so.
No, not yet. At the last meeting, much of our discussions, we were formalizing the independent review consultant. So we do have a general team, engineering firm that's doing the main design. There's a lot of expert opinions being designed and put place into that project. Some of it is well beyond some of the engineering of my skill level, along with, from each of the municipalities. So we've now hired an independent review consultant to review the consultant's work. So that was the last one, along with now we're also working on the branding, the strategic plan for the commission itself.
And the formal name.
And the formal.
And the formal name will be forthcoming.
Have they got the where it's gonna go at?
Basis
The
of design.
routing?
Basis of design is,
Still evolving.
yeah, I think it'll be refined, but they've got a good idea where it's going to go.
Okay,
They're still working on the routing,
they are,
yes.
Yep.
okay. Because if you remember that night that, not Allison, but the other girl that was here, she said that they had formally told the property owners where this is going. And so I'm just, if they haven't got that, I thought they had that already.
I think it's just still up for refinement.
Do you remember, anybody remember them saying
Yeah,
that?
that same engineering firm's still involved, by all means. So as we've seen a couple of versions of the basis of design, just as we've presented to the board. And as the administrator said, they're still tweaking certain ones, whether, do they run, it's 66-inch main, do they run it 300 feet, or do they run 350 to hit the next property line where it's easier to come south, or however it's branching, so. But yeah, some of those final details are still being sorted out, and of course, that will also change which property owners have to be made contact and some of that as well.
Just to, I would think that's more important than the name of the operation. So
Oh, it is, it's, those are all the different,
just my opinion.
those are all the different components that are being done simultaneously. As part of the agreement, we had a meeting with DNR a couple weeks ago, so we sat down with DNR because the 4 other municipalities need to review their applications. So there was a consensus to help streamline that a little bit by doing joint reviews. So the other 4 municipalities are like, at least DNR is willing to let 2 municipalities perhaps at a time with them go through it. It's kind of a win-win. Then they're not having to bring lawyers in 4 times and they can do it twice. So they didn't feel they could do all 4 at the same time, so. But,
Very good, thank you.
well, let's move into trustee comments. The floor is back to you, sir.
Natalie stated April 20th. So that'll be our next meeting.
That's
Other
the
than
joint
that-
meeting?
That's the joint meeting.
That's the joint meeting, right? Okay.
Other than that, no other report.
No problem. Trustee Carroll?
No report.
Trustee Chapman?
Just one item, and this is for the building department. If you could look into the Verton homestead over off of Black Road. It's an abandoned house, abandoned barn, and it's starting to become a place where kids are getting into it. And so it's gonna be dangerous for that area. And you know.
Will do.
I know the family now is spread out a little bit, but at least let's find out if there's something we can do about it, okay? Maybe give it to the fire department. Have them burn it.
They can't do that anymore because of EPA stuff, they said.
Hey,
I know. I thought it was a good training opportunity. I was surprised he said that.
All right, thank you. And then trustee Kirkland.
Thank you. Just kudos to Luke and Katie. I was out at the Breakfast with the Bunny for a few minutes on Saturday and just kind of did a walkthrough and saw several people who made a point to stop me and tell me how nice the breakfast was, well put together. And then I went outside for the egg hunt and also got a lot of good feedback that lasted about 5 minutes because, you know, fast and furious. But everything turned out really good and they did a great job. And I just wanted to say kudos to them. And then the other thing was I wanted to congratulate you, Mayor, on your first State of the Village address. It was very informative and very good. I'm sure the first one was a little tough, but you did a good job. So,
Thank you. And I won't deny I was more nervous than I thought, so I won't deny it, but thank you.
you're welcome.
I didn't think I was going to be, but ultimately I was. Trustee Luciano is not here, and Trustee Selfridge.
No report.
Thank you. We will move into executive session to
5 minutes. We'll need 5 minutes to set up the computer. We got a
That's fine.
technical glitch.
We'll move into executive session to discuss land acquisition. We will adjourn from executive, so there'll be no further action taken from there.
Mayor, if we could include in the motion to go into executive session, land acquisition, and also the sale or lease of real estate owned by the village.
When we're in executive session, we will include discussion of the land sale or lease. Motion to move into executive?
So moved. Do I have to say all that or we're covered? Okay.
You got it.
I was having a hard time saying the stuff that was printed that, you know, so.
All right, we got a motion by Kirkland to go in executive. So we got a motion by Kirkland, second by Carroll. Roll call, please.
Kirkland,
Yes.
Selfridge,
Yes.
Brockman,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
and Chapman.
yes.
All right, we are in executive. We need about 5 minutes to kind of set the room up, so if you need to use the restroom.